Hello friends, my name is Dhyuti Pitharia and today's my topic is human respiratory system. Objectives in our today's session: why do we have to breathe, what is respiratory system, parts and function of the respiratory organs, mechanism of breathing. First of all, why do we have to breathe, right? In our body, there are millions of the cells are present, and these millions of the cells, in these millions of the cells, there are many metabolic activities are occur. And for this metabolic activity, need the presence of oxygen. Without oxygen, metabolic activity of the cells not possible. You have to breathe because all the cells in your body require the oxygens, and without oxygen your body would not move. It would be like a parked car without a battery. What is the respiratory system? A respiratory system is the organ in your body that helps your body to help into the breath. So you can deliver the oxygen and take away the carbon dioxide. You have to put inside the oxygen and take release of the carbon dioxide. Right. This is the parts of the respiratory organ. This is nasal cavity, the first part of the respiratory system. This is pharynx, this is larynx. From the nasal cavity, trachea, this is trachea, and from the trachea, which is divided into the two parts, that is bronchi, and the bronchi which is divided into the more parts, that is bronchioles, and bronchioles which is and at the alveoli. You can see here nostril, nasal cavity, pharynx, larynx, esophagus. This is trachea, this is our right lung, this is our left lung, this is our heart, and trachea which is divided into the two parts, that is bronchi, trachea which is divided into the two parts, that is bronchi, bronchi which is divided into the bronchioles, bronchioles and at the end of the alveoli. You can see here, this is the trachea, right? This is bronchi, this is bronchioles, this is bronchiole, right? And this is alveoli. The first part of our respiratory organ, that is nostril, the opening through which the air enters into the body. There are minor hair and mucosa which is present into the nostril. Right. There are many hairs and the mucosa which is present into the cell line of the nostrils. They prevent the entry of the dust and harmful germs which is present into the lungs. So prevention of the dust and harmful germs into the lungs. Then the second part is the nasal cavity, the chamber which is following the nostril, that is nasal cavity. It opens into the pharynx. The function of the nasal cavity, that is to warm, moisturize and filter air entering into the lungs. Epiglottis, epiglottis is a fleck of the elastic cartilage, acts as a switch between the trachea and esophagus. Esophagus and trachea start at the pharynx, that is the common passage for the air and food. Trachea which start at the pharynx, there are many cilia and mucous which is present into the trachea. Trachea which is made up of the C-ring like structure, that is cartilage ring, that is divided into the left and right bronchus. Bronchi, that is two branches of trachea, each open into the each lung each side. Lung, there is a two lungs which is present into our body. On the either side, the lung is a soft spongy and elastic air bag. Lung are the lobular organs, and the right lung has a 3 lobe and left lung has 2 lobes. You can see here, this is our there is a 2 lobe, upper lobe and lower lobe, and there is a 3 lobe, right? And in our lung, left lung has a 2 lobe and right lung has a 3 lobe. This is our left lung and this is our right lung. Then the pleura, that is the presence into the double membrane of the lung. This is the fluid like substance which is present between these 2 membranes. Right. This fluid reduces the friction when the 2 lungs contract and relax. Bronchioles, branches of the bronchia. This carry the air to the alveoli. The right main bronchi, which is shorter and wider than the left bronchus. Alveoli, each bronchioles which is and into the group of the alveoli. One alveoli, one and that is the alveolus, and the group of the alveolus known as the alveoli. Lung, which is made up of the alveoli. And the diaphragm, which is the largest muscles of the body. Respiratory system, which is consisted of the nostril, air, the part of the respiratory system, nostril to nasal cavity to pharynx, pharynx to trachea, trachea to bronchi, bronchi to bronchioles, and bronchioles to alveoli. Next is the mechanism of breathing. In the mechanism of breathing, this is inhalation, that means oxygen inside the body. Exhalation, that means carbon dioxide outside the body. During the inhalation, diaphragm which goes the upward, and in the exhalation, diaphragm contract. First of all, to understand the mechanism of breathing, we have to know what is Boyle's law. Right. Boyle's law, if volume increases, the pressure must decreases. At the constant temperature, when we increase the volume, pressure will decrease. The Boyle's law, which is the relationship between the pressure and volume. Right. The Boyle's law, that is PV is equal to constant, P1 V1 is equal to P2 V2. Both equations state the product of the pressure and volume remains the same. Boyle's law, which write at the constant temperature. At the constant temperature, when we increase the volume, the pressure will be decreased. You can see here, when we apply the pressure from the outside, volume will decrease. Volume will decrease. When we remove the pressure, volume will increase. So volume and the relationship between the volume and pressure, which is vice versa. If we increase the volume, pressure will decrease. When we increase the pressure, volume will decrease. Breathing occurs when the contraction and relaxation of the muscles around the lung changes the total volume of air within the air passage inside the lung. When the volume of the lung changes, the pressure of the air in the lungs changes in accordance with the law. When the air which is enter into the body, then pressure will decrease and the volume will increase. That means ki lung size will increase. When the carbon dioxide exhaled from the outside the body, then the contraction of the lung will occur. If the pressure is greater in the lung than the outside the lung, the air rushes outside the body. You can see here the figure, this is the breathing in and this is the breathing out. According to Boyle's law, pressure, when the pressure enter, right, you can see here increase in volume means lower the pressure, right. When the air which is enter inside the body, volume will increase and the pressure will decrease in the breathing in process. And in the breathing out, volume will, a carbon dioxide, release of the carbon dioxide from the body to outside, volume will decrease and the pressure will increase. When the pressure outside the atmosphere pressure is always 760 mm Hg at the sea level, right? When the pressure outside is higher compared to inside the lung, here you can see the outside the atmosphere pressure is 760 mm Hg, right? That means the pressure is high outside the atmosphere, that means in the presence of in the atmosphere. And in the lungs, in the lung, the pressure is 757 mm Hg, right? That means according to diffusion process, volume, or we can say air which is enter into the lung, volume will increase of the lung and pressure outside of the body and in the lung will be equal at the 760 mm Hg. And in the expiration system, you can see here the pressure inside the lung, that is 763 mm Hg and outside 760 mm Hg, right? So diffusion from the body toward the atmosphere, or carbon dioxide which release into the atmosphere, right? And the lung volume will be decreased. Breathing in, the pressure where the air moves into and out of the body. In the inspiration system, that means air inhaled, the rib cage which is present around the lung. You can see here this is a rib cage. This rib cage goes upward side, that means expansion of the rib cage occur. These muscles will contract when the pressure in the lung decreases, air push in. This diaphragm will contract, that means diaphragm goes to the downside, right? That means the volume will increase and pressure will be decreased during the inspiration procedure. And in the expiration procedure, air exhaled, this rib cage gets smaller as the rib muscles relaxes. This rib cage will go downward side and the diaphragm relaxes, that means diaphragm moves up, right? The volume will be decreased and the pressure, volume will be decreased, pressure will be increased. Breathing in, that is inhalation, that is inspiration, that is inhaling. During the inhalation process, rib cage expands, diaphragm goes downward side, pressure reduces inside the lung. Result, that means air drawn into the lungs. This is the inspiration process, that means oxygen enter into the body. In the inspiration occur when the inspiratory muscles, that is the diaphragm and external intercostal muscles contract. Contraction of the diaphragm occur, that means the diaphragm which moves downward side and causes increase in the size of the lung. The both muscles cause the lungs to expand, increasing the volume of the internal air passage. That means the pressure inside the lung will be decreased, volume will increase, pressure will be decreased from 757 to 760 mm Hg. 760 mm Hg, that means equal to the atmosphere. Atmosphere pressure is always remains 760 mm Hg. In the breathing out, that means the exhalation, rib cage contracts, diaphragm moves upward, pressure will be increased inside the lung, that means ki 763 mm Hg, and that means the result air which is pushed out of the lung. Here you can see diaphragm moves upward and carbon dioxide which release out of the body. In the expiration procedure occurs when the diaphragm and external intercostal muscles relaxes. In response, the elastic fiber in the lung tissue causes the lungs to recoil the original volume. The pressure of the air inside which is higher, which will be released after the expiration procedure. During the high rate of ventilation, expiration which is facilitated by contraction of the expiratory muscles, that is the intercostal and diaphragm. Summary of the inspiration and expiration. In the inspiration, from the atmospheric air to the external nostril to nasal cavity to nasopharynx, larynx, then trachea, then bronchi, then bronchioles, then alveolar duct, and then alveoli. Right, and what is the pathway of the expiration? Alveoli to the alveolar duct, bronchioles, then bronchi, trachea to larynx to nasopharynx, nasal cavity to external nostril, and from the nostril to the atmosphere. Thank you.